Hello and welcome back to Boxing Social in association with Betfred. My name is Ayman Khan. We're here at the Platform Bar in London. With me is the one and only Francis Warren to talk through Saturday night's action. First of all, Francis, how's life treating you?
Very well, thank you, mate. Not too bad. Enjoying the sunshine. And good to be down here with all the boys from the undercard for Saturday. And thanks for coming down.
Francis, you much of a gamer at all?
I'm not. No.
Never been?
No, never. That part of youth bypassed me.
Fair enough. I'm sure you're playing out or helping your dad out with all the boxing, but maybe we'll try and get a game of FIFA in after this interview, if possible.
FIFA we used to do, and I think what we used to play. I mean, when you say gamer, I mean never like online stuff, but like Tekken and all that sort of stuff.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have to. You've name dropped Tekken. We'll have to play.
I was about this big. I think yeah. It was always fun.
Yeah, so, well, let's get that getting on after this interview. But Francis, Saturday night. Talent is the word I want to use for the show because it looks like BT, as well as other companies, but BT Sports, Frank Warren, are looking to really invest heavily in talent, giving them that spotlight here. We've got the undercard here on show to speak to those fighters, but who kind of takes your eye from the litany of talent that's on the show on Saturday night?
Well, I think you're right in what you're saying. Is that my dad's always been a massive champion of bringing through youngsters and giving them as much opportunity to showcase what they can do as possible. Karol Atoma for me is he's one of the guys that we've got very, very, very high hopes for. I think he's one of the standout prospects within our stable, but he's one of very, very many. Masood Abdullah, I think, is an absolute. He could be an absolute superstar if he keeps doing what he's doing. And obviously, we've just signed a young man called Pierce O'Leary, and he's going to make his debut for Queensbury on Saturday in an 8-rounder. I just think, as Umar Khan, Sean Noakes, I think it's, we've got some real, they're not just promising, they're standout prospects that, I think every single one of them, for one reason or another, you can make a case that they will go and do something in this sport very big.
Interesting matchups too. One of them specifically I want to talk about is Dennis McCann against James Beach Jr., which is a really good fight in prospect. How do you think Dennis will come through the test of James?
James is a tough guy, and he's going to bring it as he always brings it. I think he was scheduled to fight Louis Lin a little while ago, but Louis didn't materialise. But we made the call just to see if he would step in and fight Dennis, and he said yes. So he obviously fancies the job. James isn't a journeyman. He's a boxer. He's got ambition of trying to do something in the sport, and I think trying to take the scalp of Dennis McCann is probably is something that probably appeals to him massively. But Dennis has got to just be on point, and 100% Dennis McCann wins the fight Saturday. I think it's pretty simple as that. If he's on point and if he concentrates, boxes properly, and takes in opportunities that come up, to maybe end the fight early, then he's got to take them. But first and foremost, he's got to box, keep his wits about him, straight shots, do everything very well.
It seems like as well you've unearthed a bit of a gem in the form of Nick Ball, who was out last in action in a ferocious form against Isaac Lowe. First of all, Isaac was clamouring for the rematch. Was that ever a possibility?
I think once you've beaten someone like Isaac, I think it would take it's got to be, and also for the title that was on the line, the WBC Silver, I think it's kind of maybe a sidestep, or to have that rematch straight away. Who knows down the line? Maybe it's something that we could look at. But I think it's a case of onwards and upwards for Nick, and a case of building his ranking with the WBC. They're big fans of him. I know that Maurizio Sullivan was very impressed with his performance at Wembley, and he's obviously looking to build on that against a very tough guy on Saturday. Who's once you're fighting for this WBC silver title, when the ranking it gives you, you've got a target on your back, and I think Nick's got it all to do on Saturday because he can't afford any slip-ups.
Speaking of fighters with targets on their back, Lennox Clark has the British Commonwealth title too. He's in against Mark Efron, which is another good fight and prospect too.
Lennox obviously had a frustrating year, and he's going to come up against someone in Mark Efron who's been pretty busy, and has boxed his way into a mandatory position for a title. I think, am I right in saying he's boxed 4 or he held the middleweight. I have to double check that. But obviously he's boxed the British titles before, Mark. He's had the WBC International a couple of times as well. So yeah, I mean it's quite, it's a very intriguing matchup. Both big punchers, both very ferocious guys as well. Gentlemen out of the ring and nightmares inside of it. So I think it's going to be a very good one on Saturday.
Hamza Shiraz too, he's the headliner here. A lot of stock, it seems, being put by Queensberry into Hamza Shiraz. I know Frank is very much also a big advocate for Hamza and where he can go in the sport. He's now moved up to middleweight, taking on Francisco Emmanuel Torres. What do you make of the progression Hamza has had? He had the fight with Bradley Skeet, which is a bit of a blip, big wonder fight though. But I think from there, the magnifying glass has been on him a little bit more so too. But what do you make of his trajectory and progression so far?
I think it's been spot on. I think his management and obviously my dad and the matchmaking teams have we all discuss his opponents and it's not just like picking them out of the hat. They are they're guys that we know they're going to bring the best out of Hamza. It's all about career development, and I think Saturday night is another good example of the belief that we've got in Hamza. We're putting him in the spotlight even more with it's a WBC silver title, so it's a big title up for grabs and a high ranking.
Get your thoughts on a couple of other things in the boxing sphere. Tyson Fury has listed his terms for an Anthony Joshua fight, that being Wembley. Free tickets too. If anyone can make that'd be your dad for the fans there.
Free, yeah. Apparently there's a video going around. I haven't seen it, but yeah, we'll have to look at that one.
Tyson, what do you make of the retirement there? Would you expect to see him back out? Obviously, I think it's a position of waiting for what happens with Usyk and AJ-Usyk2 and that happening. But can we expect to see Tyson back out in the ring soon?
I've said it a couple of times, and I would never speak out of turn when it comes to Tyson. There's no expectation. If you're asking me personally, there's no expectation. There's a hope. Because I admire the man I'm sure as much as you do, and everyone else does. He's nothing but an inspiration and an absolute, one of a kind. And I'd love to see him out again. But whatever Tyson does, is down to Tyson. And fingers crossed he fights again. But if not, you just enjoy everything else he does.
There was a rumour that he might take on Logan Paul at WrestleMania.
I don't know about that. I haven't heard anything about that.
No worries.
What a lot of fun it would be. What a fun.
For sure. A lot of fun. Joyce had a lot of fun recently, beating Christian Hammer, knocking him out finishing him off in the 4th round there. Just talk me through his performance.
It was punch perfect. It was, it's obviously expected. Christian's a tough guy, and I think it was just obviously getting a bit of ring rust out of Joe's system. Coming off an injury as well, which obviously has kept him out for a little while. But he's obviously much better than. No disrespect to Christian, but we need to see him in with some high level opponents now, and you'll see something happening in September.
What's the feeling in terms of, because Frank always says that he'd love to make the Joyce Dubois 2 fight. Is that a fight that happens selling out a big stadium with titles held by both fighters?
Well, I think it's like most of these domestic rivalries. If you let it marinate for a bit, especially with the history, then yeah, it's going to be. And I think the longer it goes, and obviously the only risk you run is obviously both guys have to keep winning. So as long as both guys keep winning, that's always an option for both guys. And I think the longer it goes, the bigger it'll be, and more titles at stake, the better. I think it'd be a fantastic rematch. So.
Someone who had to get a win at the weekend and did get a win in the heavyweight division was Derek Chisora. Frank's worked with him, yourself worked with him beforehand. What do you make of Derek's performance? Derek's
an old, very old pal of mine. I've known him for 20 years. We've been through all sorts together. So I'm glad for him. Happy he won. Obviously he's chose to carry on boxing, and proved everybody that it was a correct decision to do so against that opponent. But just as a mate, I just wanted to see him choose his opponents carefully and not take too many risks, because he's a good guy, Derek, and he's got a lot going for him outside of boxing. So just look after yourself, my friend.
Would there be any interest to match him up potentially with a Dubois or a Joyce?
I think we discussed it a little while ago, but I think we're looking elsewhere at the moment. But who knows?
Just sticking on the heavyweight theme, Usyk AJ-2, your thoughts on that fight? A lot of people talking about if Anthony Joshua was to win, he has to put it on Usyk. But your thoughts on that fight, and do you agree with that kind of sentiment too?
I think it was. I don't think there's any different opinion from the first fight. You know, if everyone expected AJ to come out fast and use his height, aggression. Well, be aggressive, not his, use his height, strength, weight advantage. You know, and he didn't. You know, he tried to box and tried to move and didn't work. So I don't think it'll work. If he tries to repeat that in the second fight, it won't work again. However, if he goes and puts it on Usyk, then we've got a different fight in our hands. But who knows? I mean, who knows? It's very intriguing. Rematches always are, because you never know if you're going to get repeat or revenge. But I think it'll be a fantastic spectacle. It'll be a great fight, and good luck to both guys.
A lot of talk about platforms and promotional outfits. That fight was bidded for by a number of platforms and promotional outfits. It's landed on Sky Sports. It seems not confirmed fully yet, but if that's the case, it seems like quite a big blow there for DAZN to not land that on their platform.
That's what it is, isn't it? It's what it is. Obviously, it's what it is. It's just, it seems like a very confusing situation. So, I'd tune in wherever it lands.
Fair enough. A couple of final things I want to get your thoughts on, Francis. Another confusing situation is seeing Tommy Fury have to pull out of the Jake Paul fight. Can you shed any more light on that situation?
I've got no information on that at all.
No worries, fair enough. Is there any interest for BT to have that fight on pay-per-view potentially? There was beforehand if it landed with Jake Paul and Tommy Fury, but
I'm sure if and when it happened, it would be of interest, yes. But no more information on that at the moment.
No worries. Final word on the card then. What can people look forward to when they tune in on BT Sport at the weekend?
Another great fight night. You've got some genuine 50-50 fights on there, and some of the best young emerging talent in the UK, Europe, probably the world. So tune in, show you guys the support, and enjoy a great night's boxing.